Hello, everybody. Welcome to the FloTrack podcast, Paris edition, presented by Wonderful Pistachios. I'm Liv Ekpone, joined with Corey Mall. We are coming off from a very spicy evening session. But without further ado, I have to introduce our special guest today. We have Evan Jager, the 2016 Olympic silver medalist in the 3,000 meter steeplechase, and he's going to give us some insights on what went down today and also talk about his Olympic experience. So Evan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm pumped.
Yes, we're pumped too. So let's go ahead and dive right into it, because I think the talk of the talk right now is we saw a world record go down in the men's pole vault. Of course, it was the one and only Mondo Duplantis, who, when he was going through his jumps, he cleared 6:10, and that already won the gold. But he's like, why not? Let's go 6.25 meters. Gets the world record on the third attempt. Just absolutely insane. Evan, what were your thoughts when you just kind of saw how this played out tonight?
I mean, is anyone surprised? Mondo he's absolutely incredible. My wife is Swedish, so we're big Mondo fans in our household. And I mean, it's just very obvious watching him jump pretty much every competition that he's just the best in the world. And it's honestly so cool watching people be so good at their disciplines in track and field. It's just beautiful to watch. And yeah, you're always treated to a good show when Mondo's jumping. So it was really cool. Not that it's expected, but is anyone surprised, really? He's just incredible.
Not surprised over here.
No, and yeah. 20 feet 6 inches for the Americans out there who don't follow the metric system. Mondo was clearly over a height that no one's really reached before, other than a few people. 6.25 meters. I think the one thing that stood out to me watching it on the feed was how everything stopped when Mondo was on the runway. There were chants, there was singing, there was Mondo's name being called out from the entire Stade de France. I mean, you rarely ever see that. Evan, have you ever experienced a whole stadium shutting down and cheering on one athlete, in a field event like that?
Yeah, the one that I can recall is, I think it was 2014. I was racing the steeple in Brussels, and Mutaz Barshim was high jumping, literally at the same time as we were racing the steeple. And this was the year him and Bondarenko were just going head to head in the high jump, back and forth. And I think he was jumping 243, somewhere around the time that I was racing. And I just remember realizing that the entire stadium was cheering, not for our race going on, but for Mutaz jumping. And it was actually pretty cool. I got chills walking out onto the track, just kind of hearing that. And yeah, that was another moment. And then probably the most iconic for me, at least, that I've been aware of was World Champs in 2009. There was a female high jumper, and she did this to the entire stadium. And we were in Berlin, and the entire stadium went dead silent. She cleared the jump, and the entire stadium erupted. And it was, I get chills thinking about it. It was one of the coolest moments I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh. And I love that you said that, because when you watched the stream too, there was the crowd was very aware of what was going on. So Mondo at one point didn't acknowledge the crowd to get him, he didn't start the clap. So it was quiet. I think it was right before his third attempt at the world record. Then all of a sudden he told the crowd, let's get into it. And then that's when they responded. Yep. So there was no move. There was no, you probably could have heard a pin drop in there too.
I bet you if Mondo said do this, they would have done that.
Yes.
That's the way that acts. And I'm glad that field events every now and again get their due, because he certainly deserved this. I know we have a couple sort of images that we want to put up on screen. So this was the 9th time that Mondo has broken a world record now in the pole vault, and he's going up, I think it's millimeters, if I get my metric system correct. He's going up. First time he ever broke a record was February 2020, 6.17 meters. And for the 4 years since, he's broken it 8 more times. He's up to 6.25 a millimeter each time. And the man just is a current living GOAT.
He really is.
Yeah.
What's wild, I didn't even realize it's been 4 years since we've had one world record holder in this event. That's kind of mind-blowing to think about. Just keep going after it, you know? And then also, speaking of GOATs, shout out to our team. Jennifer Zahn kind of pointed this out, but there was a graphic out originally of Simone Biles and her vault. And the stat of the day, actually, we're going to call it GOAT math. Simone's height of the vault is equivalent to 7 GOATs.
Mondo's height.
No, Simone Biles had 7 GOATs with a standard GOAT height of 19 inches. Mondo, I hopefully, Evan, you can't count how many GOATs there are, but how many GOATs do you think Mondo cleared to get the world record?
I can't count. Is it 13?
Yes.
That is correct. 13 GOATs.
I don't know.
Incredible.
I don't know if I believe that. I feel like goats are taller than that.
You think so?
Oh, too. Yeah.
Goats
I think so too.
stand at least 4 feet high. I would think.
No.
No?
Not 4 feet. I don't
No.
think.
3 feet.
4 feet is
3
so
feet?
tall.
3 feet?
Maybe
2.
Maybe 2 to 3.
Okay.
Depends on probably where you're measuring from.
Yeah.
Hey, we're in America now.
The head, the horns.
You know
the
hormones
back.
nowadays, Evan. Hormones, goat. You know the size of animals nowadays. They could be larger.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah.
Just wild. Well, regardless, Mondo's the GOAT. And
Yeah.
he does Mondo things every time we see him hit the runway.
Yeah, coming off a men's 100-meter world title yesterday, going into a field event where it's such a big stage. I think really great transition from event to event here to Mondo, and I think it's really sort of keeping the games engaged and really compelling from day to day.
Yes, and huge shout out to Sam Kendricks too for grabbing the silver, 5.95 meters, and then Emanuele Carlalis was third with the bronze at 5.90. It was a really competitive pole vault from start to finish, and of course Mondo gets the world record. But nonetheless, that was probably one of the highlights so far for me from these Olympic Games. Evan, do you have any other thoughts on the GOAT?
No, he's awesome. Yeah, just that our household is big fans. And he's still young. So like, where is he going to take this? How long is he going to be super dominant for? It's like, it's really fun to watch, and it'll be interesting to see if he kind of spurs on like the next wave of pole vaulters, where like kids are just starting pole vault from when they're 3 and just like continuing on their entire lives, kind of like the way that he has. So yeah, it'll be cool to see where the event goes.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
I do have some lasting thoughts. I
Okay.
think, and they might be hyperbole at this point, but I think the state of Louisiana should erect a statue of Mondo Duplantis right now. They should start building it.
Yeah, they should.
I think they should make his family's house a historic landmark for track and field.
I love that.
And I think they should take that backyard pole vault that he grew up, jumping on and put it in a museum.
I actually
Well,
like all of your thoughts.
He's not done yet. So he still
Exactly.
needs that pole vault pit for a couple more years. So let's wait till he's retired.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I agree with Evan. I like all 3 of those, actually.
Okay.
I'm all in support of that, which is amazing. All right, let's move on to the women's 800, because that took off. That was during the pole vault, but like it finished, and then obviously the end, it was all Mondo. But goodness gracious, we had probably the whole entire office coming around to watch this women's 800 field, because it was just so intense. You had Keely Hodgkinson, you had Mary Mora, you had Juliet Whitaker. We were missing Gemma Reekie due to unfortunate events in that semifinals. Just got out too strong and just couldn't hold on. But Keely Hodgkinson finally gets the gold. She was silver in 2021, ran a 1:56.72, and became the 3rd British woman to win this title. And I must say, they went out in 58 seconds this first 400 instead of 56, which is what we saw during the semifinal rounds as well.
Evan, what do you think of those tactics watching that race play out for someone like Keely who understands this distance so well?
Yeah, I think it just showed how confident she was in where her fitness is at right now. I feel like she felt like she could win the race no matter how it was run. She just wanted to put herself in position for striking for that gold medal whenever she wanted to make the move. And um, yeah, I think she would have been fine with however fast anyone wanted to take it out. Is she could have just sat right there on the shoulder and just waited until she felt was right, and then attack. And yeah, she looked incredible the last 100 meters. It looked like she's kind of the top of the world right now, and um, it looks like she knew that she was kind of in that fitness as well. So yeah, just a kind of a dominant performance. Yeah, good race. Good to see Mora up there battling with her. I'm sure she wanted gold, obviously, if not silver, and had to settle for bronze. But yeah, I think Keely just dominated and completely controlled that race, even though she wasn't leading the whole way.
I agree. That's, yeah, like she looked very in control from start to finish. I know there was a lot of conversation of how she was going to approach this final. Was she going to be in the back? Was she going to be in the front? But it seemed like she just wanted to kind of, float in the front a little bit and then pressed that last 200 meters. And I was kind of calling it too. I was thinking the last 150, 120, I was like, she's just going to put on the jets because she looks too comfortable right now as the athletes were just progressing more as we saw the pace kind of quicken a little bit more. Were you surprised by how she approached it?
No, I actually thought the first lap she drove the race beautifully because, she made it, contained in a way. 58, 3, 2 over the last 400, but his first 400 was 58, 4. And she contained the speed and the pace of the first 400 because no one really wanted to move on Keely. But I think it was that third 200. We always talk about the third 200 and 800 where she gave herself an opportunity to operate, run on the rail, and I think command the race. And she set it up at that point. When Mora and Dugami tried to swing on her on the curve, I think she had enough energy. She had built that first 400. She had given herself enough cushion to make sure she had that last kick. So I thought it was a beautiful tactical display from her. She was nearly identical lap to lap, and she's won all year. I think it's deserving of her to win. I like to see athletes who have been dominant to win these big races.
Yeah. Dugama finishes with the silver and set a personal best of 157.15. Mary Mora, as Evan mentioned, got the bronze in the 157.42. And then the lone American, Juliet Whitaker, who's still in college, competing in Stanford, was 7th. And I was so proud, 158.50, getting underneath that 2-minute mark. So it was just a beautiful race from start to finish. It was fast. I'm pumped. And Keely got her gold, which I'm really excited about.
Can I ask you a question, Evan? So one thing that was, I think Michael Johnson said this on Twitter the other day about how different countries treat gold medalists. When it comes to American athletes, I think, I don't know how you see it, but like it feels like American athletes don't get as much promotion than European athletes. If they win gold, say, Keely, how is Great Britain, how is the UK going to treat, an athlete coming home bringing gold as compared to maybe like a U.S. athlete bringing home gold? Is it any different, do you think?
Yeah, it's different. I'd say pretty much anywhere else in the world, you're probably going to get more recognition for medaling in track and field as compared to the U.S. The Brits love track and field. They're like notoriously very harsh critics on their athletes in track and field, and I think just kind of the opposite. They will do well to kind of celebrate Keely. I mean, I know Mo Farah medaled quite a few number of times, but just to show you, he was knighted for all of his track accomplishments, and so he's now Sir Mo Farah. So it shows you that they definitely care about track and field, and they'll take care of you for medaling, especially at the Olympics. So I think, yeah, she'll get quite a lot coming to her, probably for the rest of her life. She'll be set.
She'll be set. Let's move on to the most dramatic, probably, event besides Mondo. This woman's 5K. Our team is on the ground right now. We're still trying to sort things out, but I am ready just in case some news breaks out. But as of right now, we have the winner as Beatrice Chibet, 14:29.60. Before we got to that moment, though, I want to say within the last 800 meters, there was lots of shoving and pushing, yelling.
Two particular women.
Yes, but
Really?
there was some yelling, there was some shoving, there was some pushing.
Okay.
And it was between Sagai and Faith Kipyegon. And as of right now, the results are showing a DQ for Faith Kipyegon, who crossed the finish line in a 14:28.56. But as of right now, she is DQ'd, but we are still waiting. We were just talking about this off air, how it might take a couple of hours. There was a protest about it, so she might be reinstated, but as of right now, she is not. Evan, I know you and I were talking about it. What were your thoughts when you heard of this news of the DQ?
Yeah, I was honestly shocked. I watched it and then saw the results, obviously, and I feel like what Faith did was nothing more than just protecting her own space. To me, it looked like Sagai kind of started to impede Faith and started kind of closing in on her, trying to get that rail position going into 2 laps to go. And it didn't look like she had kind of enough space, gotten enough space in front of Faith to take that rail position. And I thought Faith did a good job of just kind of protecting her position on the rail. It was definitely like probably a little more hand checking than normal in that situation, but I don't think it was egregious on Faith's part. And I'm honestly shocked that the DQ has held up so far. I don't think it was worth a DQ in my opinion. And yeah, it's kind of sad to see medals kind of be decided in a situation like that. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Faith obviously competed really well, still finished second despite that little kind of tussle. So yeah, we'll see.
Are you surprised?
No, and the official ruling was DQ for jostling and obstruction. Faith put a hand on Sagai with a little more than 800 meters to go. So there was physical contact. As Evan said, obviously this happens in racing. So for it to come down to an official ruling is really weird. I'm a big comparison guy, and I would compare this to a World Cup final being decided by a PK. You're taking the ball out of the team's hand and just giving sort of a decision on an official's ruling. But it really, this is a 5K Olympic final. This is for all the marbles, and you just don't want to see someone determine that ruling. And Evan, you talked about it. At what point do you think? I don't know. What would have been flagrant, I guess, in this situation, and like what can skate by? Like at what amount of you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Sagai didn't get pushed to the ground. Maybe her momentum got kind of broken up a little bit, but obviously so did Faith's, and she still finished second. I think if like in another situation, what would have warranted a DQ was, in my opinion, if Sagai was the one moving from outside to inside, and if she was the one to initiate that contact and shove Faith, being the one kind of closing in on her, I think that could warrant a DQ. But Faith was on the rail, she was in the lead position, and to me it looked like Sagai unjustly closed in on her and initiated the contact. So I think Faith was just protecting herself, which she has the right to do so in that situation.
Evan, can I stop you? I think World Athletics.
Yeah, I was going to let him. We just got the message. I was letting you finish your thought, but yes, they've officially It's announced.
Rerouted
Beatrice, yep, Beatrice Chebet, Faith Kipyegon gets silver, and Safan Hassan with the bronze.
So the appeal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's good. It's
there we
good
go.
I don't think she didn't deserve that. Gosh, you got to feel for the Italian girl though.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
that's going to be tough for her to deal with. Because she ran an incredible last lap to finish fourth. But I'm sure for the last couple hours or hour or so, she's been thinking she was an Olympic medalist, and now she's not. So you got to feel for her, but I think the judges and officials made the right decision.
Yeah, I agree. So that's the update now. So it holds, and I want to also give shout outs to our Americans too. Carissa Schweizer, Elise Craney, Morgan Whitney also ran very, very well. 3 Americans in that final, which is incredible to think about. What a wild day. Like, we've got breaking news as we're speaking right now on the podcast. So just wild. Okay, now that we have that all situated, shout out to Ashley Tishins and Brian Dybel for keeping us in the loop on what's going on the ground there in Paris. But we also had the women's discus go off, and y'all, Val Allman is just, she's my shero. She really is. Threw 69.50, and all of her throws were over 68 meters. The second place finisher was Ben Fang, who threw 67.51. I love this photo of Val. Look at how she's celebrating, literally up in the air after just her major throws there. And she only had 2 fouls, which is super fantastic to think about. She's been very consistent, so dominant, and just huge kudos to Val Allman. And then Sandra Alesek finished with the bronze, 67.51. I think that just speaks to how consistent Val has been all season long. Corey, what were your thoughts on all of that?
We spoke about this a couple days ago. The consistency rules the day, especially in an Olympic final, especially for someone like Valerie Allman and her just history. I wrote down that of her 11 throws this year, all of them were between 10 feet 4 inches of one another. If you were to create a heat map of Valerie Allman's throws this year, they would all be within 10 feet of one another. That is success personified for the Olympic champion, and I don't know how else to describe it. Like, she threw just as much as she's thrown all year consistently.
Just insane.
Yeah.
Evan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that just speaks to kind of probably how well she's training right now, and how dialed in mentally she is. Just to be that consistent, especially on the day, all of her throws would have won gold. It just shows you how well prepared she was, both physically and mentally. Just a totally sound athlete right now, and she's the best in the world right now.
Best in the world,
I think she must just be super confident and just in the right place mentally going into these competitions. And you don't always show up your best on the day when it matters, but she obviously did, and did it 4 times. So she earned that.
Yeah. And the fact that all of her throws would have won regardless.
Yeah.
Even the one that didn't throw, even her least furthest throw would have still won. So it just shows the consistency, as we're all agreeing here. Just Val is incredible. So
on top of the world, right?
Yes, exactly.
Val for Prez.
Yes, I love that. Okay, Evan, I want to talk about the men's 3,000 meter steeplechase. This was your event, is your event. And again, the drama continues. Can we talk about the first heat, way to kick things off? What were your thoughts about Amo Serum there, ranked number 3 in the world right now? The Kenyan was pushed outside the water barrier, literally stopped, had to get back onto the track, cleared it, and was sprinting the last lap and finished 5th in his heat. Just, have you seen anything like this before? Let me ask that question first.
I mean, he finished sixth, so he was like initially just outside of the qualifying
Yes, yeah.
positions, but protested and got through, so that was good to see. I never seen anyone miss a jump like that and then come back
Right.
and still do so well. Beatrice Chepkoech did it in 2017, I believe, where she missed a water jump, had to go back and re-jump it and finish the race. But that was early on. That was like the first water jump lap, I believe. And I can't remember exactly how she finished, but she still finished like decently well, but outside of the medals. That was, I did not think Serum was gonna come back and be anywhere close to qualifying, and that was pretty incredible to see. He just looked like he all out sprinted from 500 meters out and talked all those guys down. He was like less than half a second away from just outright getting a big Q, finishing top 5. So yeah, that was pretty impressive to see. I felt so bad for him before like you realize that he got through on protest, because he's one of the top in the world right now, and it wasn't like totally his fault that he got pushed out. It was like a little. I don't think anyone was completely in the wrong there, so it was good to see that he got pushed through the final, especially the way he ran that last lap. I think he earned that for sure.
Yeah, he was sprinting.
Yeah, what we've seen at the Olympics, especially with the repechage rounds, is that athletes are fighting for their existence. They want to move on. You get here, you wait 4 years to signal your spot in a field like this. So you're going to do every little thing to make sure you get to the next round. And kudos to him, as you said, being so locked in that like you don't forget to turn back and do the water jump. Like I think another person may have just kept running. Like that's I think I got to give him credit for that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, like that's not a situation that you prepare for. So I would be like, you could be in that situation and be like, what do I do here? So it was good to see he didn't even think about it. He just reacted. He did the right thing, and just ran his butt off and finished as high as he could.
Evan, what has been the wildest thing that you've been a part of when it came to the steeplechase? Besides, like, obviously hitting the water pit, but have you had any nasty spills before?
Oh, yeah. Famously nasty spill. I've fallen a couple times in the water pit, but I obviously, like, my biggest, most memorable one was falling in Paris running 8 flat. So, it's part of the event. It's kind of a brutal event, unforgiving, and you got to do everything right the whole way, or else, like, it's just not going to go your way. So, it just kind of happens a bunch. People fall, people get back up, run well. Sometimes it affects you more than others. It happened at the trials. Hillary just kind of took a dive in the water pit with like 900 meters to go, and it definitely affected how the final went for him. So that's just part of the event.
The finals are in 2 days, so they'll be on August 7th, and it will be the last event to kick off to end the evening session. Based off what you're seeing right now, who would you say are your early picks? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I really, so it seems like El Bakali has been injured this year, because this was only his 3rd race of the year. He did a cross-country race really early in the year, and then ran the Rabat Diamond League steeple. Ran pretty well there. I think he won in like 8:09. So like, still like 13 seconds off of his PB. So not like an insane result, but he won the race, and then he hasn't raced since then. So yeah, I haven't heard exactly, but it seems like he's been dealing with a little something, and honestly, Germa's been running so well for the last couple of years. I I kind of feel like he's the favorite to win gold. I think if he if I was him, I would make the race really hard. I just run really fast right from the gun, and or maybe not right from the gun, but from a long ways out for sure, and just make it as fast of a race as possible. Maybe get your teammates to help you out a little bit. Um, and I think if it's an honest race, I don't think there's anyone that can beat him. I think El Bakali's he's still so good that he'll most likely still finish second. And Sarum was one of my favorites to finish in the medals as well. So I think those three guys they're running really well right now. I think they'll be tough to beat, but Rooks looked really good. He looked super controlled. He looked comfortable, which was good to see. He ran much better today than he did in the prelims last year, and he just looks like so much more composed and so much more confident this year. So that was really good to see, and yeah, he's fit right now and ran super impressive at the trials. So yeah, I'm really interested to see how well he does. I think he can finish really well. So yeah, I think if I absolutely had to pick, I think it's going to be a fast race, and I think it'd probably be Germa, El Bakali, and then maybe Sarum. But yeah, anything can happen, and that's why they run the race. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Can we talk about our guy, Kenny Rooks?
Yeah.
U.S. champion.
Yeah,
He's the only
please.
American who qualified for the final.
Yeah. I think, I mean, you look at Heat 2 and Heat 3, you know, different tactics, different pacing structures. Right. You know, Rooks ran the race that was in front of him, and that's all you really can do. I don't know if you want to comment on that more, Evan, but tactically it looks like he was always sort of in control of where he needed to be in that third heat, and that's why he was in that position. Would you agree there?
Yeah, for sure. It was slower than Wilkinson's heat, definitely, but I just even if Wilkinson was in the third heat, I don't think he necessarily would have looked as controlled as Rooks did. Rooks just like he was in the right place the whole time, even when they were like finishing somewhat hard the last lap. He just was doing enough to get through and looked totally comfortable doing it. Wilkinson had the faster heat, so he unfortunately had to get pressed a little bit more than Rooks did. And he ran right at his PB to finish sixth in the heat, and I think it was maybe just a little too quick for him. He definitely probably would have fared a little bit better in a slightly slower race because he's got a good close. But I think, yeah, of the three Americans, Rooks definitely, he looked the best for sure. He looks like he's ready to compete at this level, and he looked like he was just doing what he needed to do to get through the final, and he's more so thinking about the final for sure.
And for Corrigan and Wilkinson, this is their first Olympics. So in some ways, I mean, they do have to kind of take this experience and try to have takeaways from it, lessons. I mean, I for all that being said, I think Wilkinson really did battle as much as he could. You know, when he lost contact, he in that last lap, he did make up some ground, and he was close. You got to give him credit there. And Corrigan, to get to the Olympics, all he went through just to qualify and then to be in that first heat, I think you got to give him credit for that as well.
Totally agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, not as dramatic, but the women's 200-meter semis went off as expected. The three Americans are in it. Gabby Thomas, Brittany Brown, Mackenzie Long had to wait, but Gabby Thomas leads the qualifying rounds with a 21.86. Mackenzie Long got the small Q 22.30, and Brittany Brown won her heat as well with a 22:12. But of course, we saw Julian Alfred out there on the track, the Olympic gold medalist. I know that sounds great to have right by her name. In that 100 meters, she went 21:98 and looked really strong doing it too.
Yeah, my big question is, will anyone compete with Gabby Thomas? Can Julian Alfred compete with Gabby Thomas as they make their way through the rounds here, trying to get to a final? I think that's going to kind of shape up to be an incredible matchup between those two if that does in fact happen. Because Gabby Thomas went out there, looked incredibly smooth at 21:8. She looks like the Olympic favorite at this point.
She does. And I feel like if there's any other athlete that's going to challenge her, I think it's going to be Julian Alfred, to be honest. Like, I remember hearing from her quotes from the mixed zone. She's not adding any pressure. She's taking it one race, one day at a time. She's always out there to win. So I think Julian Alfred, I'm not going to counter out either, but I have to agree. I think if you're looking at Gabby Thomas, Julian Alfred, I think Gabby, just the way she's been performing right now, and just after she ran, was it London, the Diamond League in London, how, I don't know if you guys remember, but Dina Asher-Smith got out like a rocket. Julian Alfred and Dina Asher-Smith, they train together, so I feel like they kind of already knew that was going to happen. But Gabby had to work. Like, she was in third and had to catch those ladies at the finish line. So I can see that happening. If Gabby has that top-end closing speed like she does, I think it's going to be Gabby Thomas with the gold. Those are just my takes, though.
Do you agree with
Olivia's I agree. She's looked too good. She looked incredible at the trials. She's looked incredible since. She looked great in the first round. Just went out, super easy win in the semis. Like, she almost won by half a second. Like, I don't know, that's pretty crazy. And like Julian, she has the 3 rounds of the 100 in her legs, and like half of her training is dedicated to the 100 as well, whereas Gabby's just solely focused on the 200. So I think. Yeah, I think Gabby's definitely the favorite going into it, and she's got to be feeling really, really good right now and super excited for the final, just because she's looked incredible,
I do remember Edric had a couple of his women run a 4x4 during the Texas relays in March, so she probably got some 400s, had some speed endurance as well. And I'm curious what to make of reaction times.
There you go. You've been the reaction time man this whole week.
I mean, reaction times was a big topic yesterday.
Yeah, it was.
It didn't really matter, right? In the end, it mattered with Sha'Carri.
Yes.
Didn't quite matter with Noah.
Right.
Doesn't matter here. Alfred, faster reaction time than Gabby Thomas. It's 200. Obviously, you can make up ground. But I don't know. What factors would contribute to a race like this when all the small things, the margins matter?
It's definitely your closing speed. Yep. I know the 200, like, yes, you don't want to be playing catch up. You have a curve to attack. I know Julian can run a curve. Gabby Thomas can run a curve. But Gabby Thomas is someone that if you are close to her and she's behind, entering a straightaway, she has that strength to close. Yeah. So for me, it's almost like the situation with Noah Lyles. Well, he has proved me wrong multiple times, but you need to be able to have somewhat of a separation for Gabby not to catch you. But I want to ask each of you, because we're talking about Julian Alfred, Gabby Thomas, who are we putting in that? Who's going to be our top 3? You have Favor Feely in the mix, Dina Asher-Smith, Brittany Brown, Daryl Netta, Mackenzie Long, and Jessica Gabai. Who do we have? Who's your third person on the podium?
Oh, man.
Me personally, Dina Asher-Smith.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in Dina Asher-Smith, especially the fact that she trains with Julian. And she's motivated, having not qualified for the finals in the 100. So I think Dina Asher-Smith.
Okay. Evan, what are your
thoughts? Man, I don't know. I'm not as up on the 200 stuff. I mean, just looking at the way that the heats were run, I mean, obviously Julian looked good. She dipped under 22. Gabby obviously was way under 22. And then, let's see, we got, I mean, Favor Feely, she was right at 22 running a season's best. So I think 1 and 2 will probably be pretty easily decided, and then I think it's probably going to be a battle for that third. And there's probably like 2 or 3 or maybe 4 women that can all squeak in for that bronze.
Yes.
So,
ooh, here's the thing.
yeah.
Do we have the start list for this yet? Probably not, right? I'm saying this right now. If Brittany Brown is on the outside, homegirl is in the mix. Not saying if she was on the inside, she's not, but she's mentioned before, put respect on my name. But when that woman is on the outside, that woman is running for her life. So if Brittany Brown's on the outside, I'm having her in there. I think Favor O'Feely, in my opinion, looked the third best going into finals. But for the storyline, and because I'm a huge fan of this woman and she's incredible, I want Mackenzie Long to be in that mix somehow. I know she did not, from what she's also had a very, very long season with NCAAs, running all those rounds, getting to the Olympics. But if Mackenzie Long gets a medal, that's going to be the icing on the cake, and I can care less about what happens for the rest of the meet, honestly. I want her to get a medal.
I wouldn't be surprised if Mackenzie Long walked away with a medal here. We saw how Melissa Jefferson competed. Obviously, she has turned pro. Mackenzie's been less time as a pro, but I think that similar sort of timelines and storylines with her. Melissa Jefferson was a really great collegian, and kind of, as soon as she turned pro, she became sort of this next level athlete, training with the best women around her. So Mackenzie Long feels a lot like Melissa Jefferson to me.
I like that too.
Do you think you'd pick Mackenzie over Brittany if you had to choose? Which one of the two do you think will do better?
Just how it's looking right now, Brittany Brown over Mackenzie Long.
Yeah.
I don't know who would agree with me, but just the
still
way she's looking through these rounds right now.
Yeah. I would agree.
She looks strong.
I still got Dina.
Shout out,
Dina.
I love Dina.
Dina.
And she trains right here in our backyard too. I just love everyone. But, just how they're looking. I'm going to pick Brittany Brown. Then, of course, cheering for Mackenzie.
Should be a good race.
Yes. Let's move to the men's 200. Again, they just had prelims today, so nothing really wild besides Zarnell Hughes scratching. We've seen a lot of scratches today.
I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah. Well, breaking news for Evan. Yeah, Zarnell Hughes scratches from the first round. I don't know what happened besides him not showing up.
Yeah. I mean, maybe disappointed at the 100. I don't really know.
Yeah. But needless to say, Noah Lyles, our Olympic gold medalist in the 100, runs a 2019. Looks smooth. This is his wife as he says it. So what can we say about Noah Lyles' run today? Just smooth.
Objective, complete. Get the job done for Noah after, a day like last night. He probably didn't get a lot of sleep. He was probably going through his, everything around him. His environment was crazy yesterday. So just get through the rounds was the objective, and he did that. My bigger question, I guess, is, who is going to challenge him? And by what we saw today, did that prove to us that he's going to get a stiffer challenge than we realize? I mean, Kenny Bednarek stood out to me today because he made a point of running well. 19.96 today, smooth across the curve, and he's coming off that 100 where he felt like he didn't perform at his highest, and I think that's kind of going through his system a little bit. I need to perform better. So I think we got a more focused and laser focused Kenny in this round, and I think Kenny really stood out to me.
I agree. I would think I think you're right, actually. I liked your question. Do we think anybody's going to challenge? Kenny B, I feel like, has that hunger. I'm pretty sure he's probably disappointed after his performance in the 100. Nonetheless, it was a great run. But you want to come here, you want to bring home a medal. So, and especially an individual medal at that. So I feel like if there's any other place for him to do that, besides the relay, is definitely in this 200. We can see him in this mix. But I'm also not going to exclude Arian Knighton from that conversation either, because he looked great. He literally kind of did like a little shrug, a little chuckle after running that 1999. And then Morocco Wu, who is the standout JUCO, and I believe he is going to Kentucky entering his junior year, went 20.07. So he's been looking strong. Terrace Urigat from Uganda, also an athlete from Alabama, looked good. Tobago. We can keep
Tobago.
See? Yeah. We like Tobago over here. Who do you?
Yeah,
Who's your
he's good.
favorite for this top three besides
I don't know
Noah?
if I could pick a favorite. Yeah, Noah for sure. Kenny he's been running so well this year. He's really like, I mean, he's been good for a while, but he's really impressed me again this year. I feel like he's taken like himself to a new level this year again. Aaron Knighton like didn't race much early in the season like at all, and so you got to assume that he's just getting sharper and sharper since the trials. Um, so I got to think that he's going to be in a really good place fitness wise. Tobogo's he's really good. Who else is there? I think those like the three Americans and Tobogo would probably be my four favorites, and then I'd probably throw in. I feel like you can never count out Andre DeGrasse. He just shows up every single time, and he's always good. So I think he'll be there as well. And then Joe Fambule he's just a
Hey,
favorite.
I was just about to mention Joe Fambule.
Fambule fans, Minnesotan at heart. Once he gets going, very few people can stop him.
Yeah, he's a freight train. You're not stopping that.
I would just love to see him like be able to like just explode out of the blocks and like stay in touch a little bit because he just closes so freaking hard. So yeah, he's a favorite. I just don't know if he can get out quick enough to kind of be in that medal contention, but I would love to see it.
Create that velocity to sort of keep him in the mix there, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I do think as we make our way to the final, it could be one of the fastest 200s we've ever seen with various sub-20 performances that could go down. But my question here, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on the repechage rounds, because we do have sort of the next opportunity for guys who didn't qualify. Shekna Troyer, the NCAA champion from Penn State, running for the Ivory Coast, did not have a great race today, 20.5, but he gets another shot. Udodia Onwusaruki of Stanford didn't race particularly well. He gets another shot. And we also have the Jamaican national champion, Brian Lavelle, who finished fourth in Noah's heat. He has to race the repechage rounds now, and they'll determine basically who's going to be able to run in those semifinals. Evan, what are your thoughts on the repechage rounds? Do you feel like you're a proponent of this, or are you? There's a lot of mixed opinions.
No, I didn't think I was going to like it. I thought it was kind of, I don't know what I thought it was. It just like, I guess I thought it was like kind of pointless or something, but seeing it happen, seeing it play out, I actually kind of like it. It's nice to see, like, I think for the fans, when you have like big names, big guys, like not make it out of the first round, like Ali Hor and Mario Garcia Romo didn't make it out of the first round of the 15. It's nice for the fans to be able to see them again and see if it was just like an off day or if they're just not feeling it. They're just not in a great place physically. So I think it's actually really good, and I'm just very interested to see how it plays out when ultimately I assume more people will try to take advantage of the situation where if, especially in like the 8 or the 15, if you get put in like a particularly strong heat, and you're like one of those bubble guys where you're not sure you can make it, especially if like your heat goes out and runs 331 or something like that. Do you just completely dog it and just go to the repechage round and kind of bank on being able to compete against the lesser competition in that next round and have a better chance of making it through? So yeah, I think if that starts happening, I'll probably like it a lot less. But I think for now, it's been entertaining, and I've kind of enjoyed it actually. What do you guys think?
I have to agree with Evan. When we talked about it, when we announced it to the world, like, well, World Athletics did, but when we talked about it, because people don't really think about that when you go to the Olympics, I was like, I'm not even sure if I'm for this. Like, just run fast, get the small cues, and let's keep it pushing. But after seeing it kind of unfold, I think of Freddie Crittenden in the 110s. We're about to talk about the 400-meter hurdle, so I'll bring up Trevor Bassett in a little bit. But it gives those people an opportunity to reset, but it adds definitely a lot more pressure because how it's been is like you have to be the winner. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. And I can't even think about running 400-meter hurdle races if I have to. You know, like that just sounds painful. But it gives these athletes the opportunity to touch the track not once but twice if needed. But if in this instance, like with Udodi, who I think has an opportunity to make it into that semifinal round, get a reset.
I have an idea. You talked about you don't want people taking advantage of this opportunity as a means of strategy. My idea, we don't use pace lights at the Olympics, but maybe we can use pace lights to prevent somebody from dogging it by creating a natural time that they must run. Yeah. So if a pace light catches up to a guy, he's out.
That's interesting.
Or
Going with the idea.
Or you have to be like a certain time, like within the winner of that heat or something like that. Because if it's just like an outright time, you have the off like super slow heats now and then, which I guess could still come into play. Like you could still have like if you're like not top 5 and it's a slow heat, you just have no shot. So yeah, that's not a bad idea. I think there has to be, you got to have like a little bit of forward thinking, assuming that someone's going to take advantage of the situation down the road. So I think it would be a good idea to come up with some sort of plan B for not allowing just someone out there walking or jogging, basically.
Yeah.
Can you imagine somebody walking? That would be.
Stop! I can't.
Honestly, I would laugh. I would laugh.
Can you imagine a walker in the 1500? Let's just walk the 15.
It'd be a bad look for like a global champion. It just wouldn't be good. I wouldn't want to see anyone in the Olympics just not taking it seriously at all. Like you don't want to see that. So I think there has to be some sort of rule put in place for sure.
Yes. I know I mentioned Trevor Bassett, so let's switch gears and talk about the 400-meter hurdles. Again, this is an athlete who will be taking advantage of the repechage round as he went 49.38. We do have a graphic that our amazing team put up on social media today where he just talks about like what was kind of going on, and it says, we build off adversity. We love adversity. If I got to have an extra race in my legs to get a medal, so be it. We'll come back tomorrow, execute better, get to the semis, and go from there. So, again, the repechage rounds, you know, saving top athletes like Trevor Bassett, who I think also deserves to be in that semifinal round. He also told us in that mix zone, he told Brian Diebold that the crowd is top-notch, as we have heard. And, you know, today he wished it could have gone better. He's honestly not quite sure what happened, but a second chance is nice. So there we go. Yep. So a great example of just how the repechage rounds can help these athletes. But, of course, Carson Warholm qualifies with the fastest time, 47.57. C.J. Allen, Rai Benjamin, they're in there. Allison DeSantos is in there, too. Not really surprised. Again, it's the first round, so we just keep it pushing.
It's the year of the 400-meter hurdles.
It is.
Right? You look at the women's side. I
feel like the last 3 or 4 years have been the year of the 400 hurdles. Like since Tokyo, really. Like, I mean, both of those finals were mind blowing when they happened, and the athletes in those events they've just been taking it up a notch ever since. It's just been really, really cool to watch.
I do think Allison Dos Santos is getting slept on.
I think so too.
Lewis Johnson was talking to Rai Benjamin, and he made a comment about how it's shaping up to be a Rai versus Karsten race.
You can't
leaving out Allison into this equation. Allison beat Karsten in Oslo, I believe, this year. He is absolutely ready to compete with those two, and we saw it just I think maybe a month ago, those three all running in the same race. So they have plenty of legs underneath them, and God willing, they all get to the final. I think we're going to see something tremendous here.
I agree. All right,
Yeah.
Evan, who's your pick off the bat?
Rye, for
Right.
sure.
Okay.
He's looked. I mean, not to discredit like the other two guys or anyone in the field really, but I don't know. He's just looked so good this year, and I mean, even talking with like teammates and like other people, it just feels like Rye's year. And he's just been running so well, so consistently, kind of like Val Allman, just like good, consistent results all the time. Yeah, he's my pick. I want him to win, obviously. He's looked really good all year. So, yeah, I'm going with Rye.
I have a feeling about Allison Dos Santos.
Okay.
That's why I mentioned it. I have a feeling he's going to bring an incredible, A game to the final. So I'm picking Allison Dos Santos.
Going with
Okay.
our Rye. He's my final pick. Stuck with Rye, finishing all the way through. Let's go ahead and talk about briefly the 400-meter hurdles for the 400-meter dash for the women. Paulino, the two-time Olympic silver medalist and world champ, has the top seed right now, 49.42. Rashida Adeleke, 50.09. The two Arkansas Razorbacks, Amber Anning and Nikisha Price. Nikisha Price makes a 50 flat look so effortless and easy. So she won that in her heat, 50.02. Two Americans are going through officially, Aaliyah Butler and Alexis Holmes, but our U.S. champion Kendall Ellis will have to compete in the repechage round, 51.16. When I watched her race, the last 250, I was like, something doesn't seem right. Like, it almost looked like she didn't have that next gear that I'm used to seeing from Kendall. I thought I was going to see it coming off the turn, and I think Dawn Harper Nelson, who was calling the race, the broadcast I was listening to, she's like, she's about to sling off this curve, and it just did not happen. 51.16, has to run another one.
And at the trials, one of her greatest race, she really pressed in the first 200. So in the repechage round, she has to get back to that.
Yeah.
What worked for me at the trials should be working here at the Olympics, and I have faith that she will get through on that extra round. But I think it's just sort of a market correction for her.
Right.
On the flip side, Aaliyah Butler, I'm really impressed by her because she did exactly that. She's young.
Yes.
She's in college. She's at this stage. She's had some bumps in her season with NCAA's not qualifying for the final there. And to be in this situation and to qualify over the first round with that race, I think she really was prepared. Coaching, mindset, everything. Prepared, 50.52 against the champ there. So I think it was really impressive from Butler.
Yes. And I know we were talking about walking. Shanae Miller-Weibo, my heart, pulls up and just walks. I don't know if she actually finished.
She did not.
She didn't?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we saw her walking on the stream, but that breaks my heart to see the two-time Olympic and defending champion pull up in that race here at the Olympic Games. But regardless, the women that we have moving forward still look solid. Evan, do you have any thoughts on the women's 400?
No, not yet. I'll be
it all?
interested to see how the repechage and the semi go. So yeah, but I feel like first round, especially for the sprints, I feel like all the top athletes generally get through pretty easy and just controlled. So yeah, I definitely think the semis are way more telling, especially for the sprints.
Exactly. All right, the final event that also happened today was the women's pole vault, and the drama continues. The world leader, Molly Cottery of Great Britain, no-heighted, and the U.S. champion, Bridget Williams, did not qualify for the finals. However, Nina Kennedy, Katie Moon, successfully in the finals. I don't know when that is. I have to look it up. But goodness, the drama this morning, just insane.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. What do you think happens in a situation like that? We've seen, I think, athletes, especially in the pole vault, because the pole vault is so technical, come up with those instances before. I mean, Dan O'Brien kind of comes to mind, I guess, in the decathlon, in the 90s, I guess. Like that set back his whole opportunity to even get to the Olympics when he didn't height pole vault. during the trials. So, like, what are your thoughts here in a situation like this? What do you think impacts it?
Oh, I honestly, I don't know anything about the pole vault. I got to imagine like the event itself seems incredibly mental, as well as like there's so much going on like throughout the course of the jump that I just feel like it's one of those events where probably more than anything else, your body has to be just like primed and just in the perfect place, um, balanced to do what you need to do in the pole vault. It's just like so extreme. There's so much going on, so much movement up and down and like upside down, and the mental aspect of it as well. You're just sitting there thinking about your jump, waiting for your jump. So honestly, I can't even imagine what it's actually like. Um, I just have to imagine that like everything has to be right on the day for you to get the best out of yourself, almost probably more than any other event. So there could be any number of things going on. I have no idea,
And she,
honestly.
and she came in at 4.55 meters, skipping the first two heights. So I'm wondering if she's sort of, trying to replay that in her mind. Should have came in a little earlier. It is really unknown at
Yeah.
this point, unless we really talk to her. But it's a brutal, brutal moment, I think, for one of the favorites.
Yeah. And what's wild, because they were
Yeah.
mentioning this on the broadcast too, like there's going to be 20 women in this final. So they even told them, like, your warm-ups are going to start earlier. We might have to move up the competition because imagine all of those jumpers having to go through for this final. So
Yeah.
imagine 20 women.
And then you're probably waiting longer in between each jump now
Yes.
too. So that kind of like changes the way you're used to doing things. So yeah, I mean, pole vault, it honestly seems crazy. And that just like, it makes what Mondo's doing even more impressive. Like, it's just like, how do you be that consistent in an event that's like so extreme mentally and physically? It's crazy.
It's just crazy. All right. Well, Evan, before we let you go, I want to briefly just talk about your Olympic experience and what that means for you, and just honestly, just what has been like your favorite track moment throughout the course of your journey so far.
Yeah, I think my favorite track moment was definitely medaling in Rio. I think like making my first Olympic team was a pretty intense like emotional experience. Like it's just what you work so hard for and just really more so dream about for years, like when you're a kid starting off the sport. And so to achieve that goal was pretty huge. And then um, when you get to the level of like dreaming about an Olympic medal, I feel like you pour even more of your like soul and your mental and emotional state into each event and each race. And so, yeah, winning silver in Rio was definitely the highlight of my running career and obviously Olympic experience. It, it'd be it would be hard to top that. Obviously, gold would be great, but yeah, that was pretty unreal. And just like Olympic experience, both of them were pretty different for me. My first one in London, um, kind of did the normal Olympics experience, did the opening ceremony, stayed in the village, um, kind of got to see some of the sights in London after I was done competing, and like really like enjoyed being there. I don't think I was like I was definitely still extremely focused on the competition, but like I enjoyed it a little more. And then Rio, I kind of treated it more as like a business trip almost. I was there to medal, like that was my sole focus. I didn't really want to waste energy kind of like taking in the Olympics and the city and everything. I was solely focused on competition and like the best result I could. So um, yeah, I was much more dialed in there, and yeah, I was kind of more results driven than anything. So two very different experiences, but obviously both were incredible. Both were great. Um, yeah, I loved both of them in different ways for sure.
What would you say has been your favorite track moment so far from the Olympic Games this year?
From these Olympics,
Yes.
um, man, uh, there hasn't been a lot. It was it was obviously really cool seeing Grant medal, being a
Yeah.
former teammate of mine. Um, I feel like uh, he came out of college and joined BTC, and um, yeah, I feel like he definitely came in as like a kid and left as like a man and an adult, and he's definitely he's grown a lot as an athlete and as a person since he came out of college. And yeah, you like he's worked super hard for that, and um, he's been very focused on like these Olympics for sure, for a couple years now. So I was very happy for him to get that medal. It was a little bittersweet because my teammate, training partner Mohamed, was just on the wrong side of those medals, finishing fourth. So it was bittersweet. I was crushed for Mo, but happy for Grant, and um, uh, yeah, yeah, I would say that. There's going to be a lot of really good racing coming up though, so uh, I'm very I'm super excited for some of these other races. I think they're like track is just it's just in such a good place right now, as far as like the competition goes. I'm seeing just world records and extremely good competition. It feels like in every single event, field, track, jumps, throws. It's like it's just really good across the board. So I feel like we're really lucky right now to see just high level track just all the way across the board, kind of like every year recently. So yeah, I'm excited.
I would have loved to know how many people were screaming at their TV when they were watching Grant Fisher run in that
Oh
10K. We were going nuts here. We were in the office and we were screaming at the television.
yeah,
I think that's
Yeah.
passionate distance fans, track and field fans. That's what was
yeah,
happening there when we were seeing our guy really put his
yeah,
teeth into that race.
yeah. I mean, and that's what the Olympics is all about. It's like it it like the whole country comes together to cheer for every single U.S. athlete, and um, it's really interesting that you don't get that like within domestic racing. Like everyone has their favorites, whether it's like different clubs like throughout the country or specific athletes, and you really cheer for those like specific athletes at whether it's the Olympic trials or like other domestic races. And then it's like awesome when you get to the Olympics. It kind of doesn't matter what club like certain athletes are on. Like you have the support of like the entire country behind you, and yeah, it's like it's what's super special about the Olympics, and um, you feel that support when you're there competing, getting DMs from everyone, and uh, messages from so many different people, just giving support. It's really cool.
What would you say has been your favorite Olympic experience? Like, is it exploring whatever country you're in? Is it just being around like the top athletes? Is it taking photos with all the basketball players? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah. If I had to say outside of like my own racing, I would say in 2012, um, one of the coolest things outside of like track, like outside of competing, that's ever happened to me was I finished the final in the steeple in London, and I was pretty disappointed. I thought I could place a little higher, like had hopes of like an Olympic medal if like everything went my way. Finished sixth, and I did did drug testing or whatever, did interviews, and walked back out to the practice track. And I was a little bummed. And as I was walking out, I like ran into Mo Ahmed, actually, who we weren't teammates at the time, but I knew him because he went to Wisconsin, and we were chatting and talking about the race or whatever. And out of the corner of my eye, this guy comes walking over towards us, and it's Kobe Bryant.
Oh.
And he sticks out his hand, and he's like, "Hey man, just wanted to say you ran great out there. Congratulations. We're really proud of you. Like, it was really cool to see you race out there." And like, I don't know if I said anything. I just was like completely starstruck. Like, I didn't see him coming up to me. He like just came out of nowhere, shook my hand, and yeah, it's a moment that I'll never forget. And Mo was right there with me, and he walked away. We were both like, "What just happened?" It was so cool.
Did you say, "Thank you, Mamba, thank you"?
I
mean,
yeah, I said,
wow.
I don't know, I probably just mumbled. Yeah, I might have said Mamba, might have said Kobe. I don't know what I said. I was like I said, I was starstruck.
I'm pretty sure, I don't know for a fact, I feel like Kobe high jumped in high school, I think. But
I can see that.
You're not thinking of Eric Kennard, are you?
No, I'm a huge Kobe guy. God bless his soul. But I'm pretty sure he high jumped. But I don't know. I would have to look into that. I'll get back to you. I think he did.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
Oh, you're Googling
yeah,
it right now?
It was just super cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But nonetheless,
Great
what
story.
an amazing
Great story.
That was an amazing story. Evan, thank you so much for joining us today, breaking everything down. Today was a very dramatic day, so you came on a great one.
Yeah.
And then just sharing more about your Olympic experience. We greatly appreciate just giving us some insight. Before I let you go, one last question. What event, I think I already know what you're going to say, but what event are you looking forward to seeing in the final? Like, what event would that be?
I mean,
is it the obvious choice?
Really everything. No, not really. I think I'm excited for everything. I'm excited for the steeple, both steeples. The men's 1500 is just insane right now. I'm super excited for that. Men's 5K, women's 10. Yeah, it's just I'm just a track fan. I'm just excited about everything, honestly.
We call people like that, ourselves included, track sickos. That's the term that
track
we use.
Sickos?
We literally just sit and watch track all day, every day.
I honestly could. Yeah. If our daughter wasn't like, she just gets like overwhelmed by too much TV. She gets overstimulated, I think. And so we just have to turn it off from time to time, but we catch up on everything. So yeah, it's kind of awesome just having just such high level track on all the time.
I love that. Well, Evan, thank you so much for joining me, and for everyone that's watching us live on YouTube, social media, our website. We're all over right now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and please go to FloTrack.org to get all of the content. Also, stay tuned to all of our social media channels. Our team is doing a great job of giving you all the latest updates, keeping you up to date on everything, and we will see you back here again tomorrow. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and Evan, thank you.
Thanks, Evan.
Yeah, thanks, guys.